So, welcome to the first ever Never Over Live pre-show. This is the first time we're actually having a structured breakdown for pay-per-view. Very, very excited to have things running underway here. As you can see, already up in the predictions card table over here. You can see that there are two columns already filled in. One for Doc, the champion, and one for the simulation. Just going to mute that, already muted. One for the simulation that we did earlier in the week. We saw some very interesting things come out of that prediction. Very, very strange.
It was very wild.
And Dawson, of course, revealed his predictions after the fact. So, I'll get right into my predictions. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to, or Brad is unfortunately not going to be able to make it tonight. Just got word that he got hung up. He has an emergency right now, so it'll just be the two of us for the evening. But we'll make do. We'll see Brad probably in 10 days when we do the simulation for No Mercy. As you can see down below, we'll be doing a No Mercy pre-show reaction feed as well. And so we'll see him in 10 days when we do the simulation for that in WWE 2K16. We're going to talk about whether or not we're going to get 2K17 as well, I guess.
Yeah, as things go along, because the sim we had, and you can check out that video on the channel, some of the characters, some of the wrestlers, we had to download in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and a lot of those will be prevalent in the new updated edition 2K17. Yeah. So, I guess I have one thing to do before we get rolling here.
Yep.
Is we're going to discuss predictions. And so if you're unfamiliar with what we do here at Never Over, because frankly we were pretty unfamiliar too.
We were winging a lot of it.
So we have, as you can see, the predictions card. We each give our predictions, our take on how the card's going to go. And based on those predictions, the person with the most correct answers is dubbed the Never Over Live champion and gets the pleasure, the honor of carrying around that belt for as long as they are the Never Over Live champion. So this was a very, 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 very interesting card to try and predict, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cut and dry. You can see that from the videos we posted from Wednesday. So, I don't know. You seem to have a little bit of trouble with it. The sim was wild. So
It was very wild. Highly recommend checking out the finish of that match.
Did we want to talk about the sim first, and then we'll move into your predictions? Because we have the sim noted there,
mm-hmm.
and we could quickly talk about some of our thoughts with those.
Well, I was so we'll go through the card. So it predicted Sami. Well, what we can do is we can compare your prediction, my prediction, and the sim's prediction as we look at. So you had Sami Zayn, and the sim had Sami Zayn. Not that we can really use the Sami Zayn as a booker, but anyway, the seal's off.
So here we go.
My prediction sheet taken out here, and I'll be updating the card accordingly based on how these predictions go. All right. So with Doc picking Sami Zayn and the sim picking Sami Zayn, I picked Sheamus. I went with Sheamus to win the best of 7 series.
Sorry, Sheamus and Cesaro. You're talking about. We were.
Spoilers.
Okay,
so
that's fine. So it happens. Okay, we're live.
We'll talk about Sheamus and Cesaro then.
Might as well. So you
Dawson
picked
had Cesaro.
Sheamus.
I picked Sheamus along with the sim. I had an incredibly hard. This was the match I had the hardest time picking for.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, please. Why? What was it about this? Because for me, as I explained, it seemed kind of cut and dry who this was. Cesaro down 3-0, steams back, wins 4 in a row, wins 4-3. Seems very cut and dry to me that they'd have him win. What would be the reason to have Sheamus sort of stump that momentum?
Well, to me, I look at it like they have a real opportunity to make. They obviously have the opportunity to make Cesaro look very good here, coming back down from 3-0, and I can see that. I can see that comeback happening and being believable if he was down 3-1.
Right.
I think if you're booking that best of 7 series, you give Cesaro the first win, Sheamus 3 wins in a row, and then you give Cesaro 3 wins in a row. The fact that they in any combination of the first 4 matches, I think it should have went 3-1. I think it should have been like, you should have had Cesaro win one of the first 3, Sheamus win the 4th.
Yep.
So that way it's 3-1 with Sheamus with the latest victory.
Yep.
And that way you can actually build a believable comeback. Because we all love Cesaro. Cesaro's a great face. I think a comeback from 3-1, being down 3-1 makes complete sense. I think a comeback coming down 3-0 is absolutely ludicrous and makes Sheamus look very, very poor. At least if you do a 3-1 comeback, Sheamus still has strength. Sheamus still looks good.
Yeah.
In this instance, there's no good that can come of giving Sheamus 4 straight losses into whatever this title opportunity. Because what's next for Sheamus after this? Cesaro can go on to face anybody.
Yeah.
And that's gonna draw viewers. Sheamus doesn't have the same drawing power.
And that was kind of the point I was making. I think they're kind of just slowly moving Sheamus away. I think they don't really he doesn't really fit anywhere. So I think that's kind of they're purposely doing it almost. They are purposely going to bury Sheamus, and that's how they're going to do it. I think Sheamus is going to become irrelevant. He's a great performer, great wrestler, but I think Sheamus will be kind of buried off of this, up 3-0, lose 4 in a row. He's done because they want to soar. They want Cesaro to soar off this, and I think he could. It could propel him into title contention, maybe in against the winner of Rusev, Roman Reigns tonight.
Which that's going to be an interesting thing to see as to whether or not his title opportunity or the title opportunity that's being granted based on this Best of 7 series is for the Universal Championship, for the U.S. Champion, or could we see like a Jack Swagger type situation that now they're already doing this where superstars are leaving Raw and going to SmackDown?
Yeah.
Like, could they take all this momentum that they've built off this Best of 7 series, proving that they're better than another top mid-carder, go to the other side and do well there? And that's another interesting thing that we can take into account of.
Yep. All right, so you have Sheamus along with the Sim.
Yeah.
All right.
So I picked Sheamus in that regard. We'll talk about Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho this time.
Sure. Yep.
So you had Sami Zayn, the Sim had Sami Zayn, and I had Chris Jericho. I'm picking Chris Jericho to go over Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn needs the win.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho deserves the win because of how incredible he's been on television over the last month, 2 months. Chris Jericho, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Chris Jericho is padding his CV with this latest run that he's doing, where he knows he's at the top. He's this wrestling god.
Yeah.
He's got the persona down, and he's doing incredible, innovative things in that role. And I think he deserves the win more than Sami Zayn. And I think that is why you will see Chris Jericho beat Sami Zayn tonight.
It's good points. Like, my reason for Sami Zayn over Chris Jericho is to propel Sami Zayn, to keep moving him up. The reasons you gave, though, I can't argue against them. Chris Jericho it's been a long time since Chris Jericho has been this good. He's wrestling extremely well. There was a point there where he's kind of boring. His gimmick was boring. His ability was kind of lackluster. But I don't know what he's done lately. He's kind of revitalized himself. The gimmick is excellent. It's one of the best right now. And his ability seems to be there. He seems to have, he creeps into the match of the night talks each time. So
every night, consistently on Raw, he's had match of the night candidates with. Let's see, he had a great one with Seth Rollins. He was great during the Fatal 4-Ways leading up to whatever they were going to do with the Universal title. And I think that, with his mic work that's been going on lately, I think the turn really happened with his feud with Dean Ambrose when they did the Ambrose Asylums match. Besides the fact I hate Dean Ambrose, but I think that they put on a great program, and I think that Jericho wanting to work with younger talent, I think Jericho keeping his finger on the pulse of the wrestling industry with his Talk is Jericho podcast, besides the fact, which if you're not already listening to, you should definitely check it out. And I think that there's a lot of gas left in the tank for Chris Jericho, and I think that carries on with a win tonight over Sami Zayn. Ultra pay-per-view is going to be on in 50 minutes. We got 7:09 Eastern time, so the pay-per-view usually begins at 8 Eastern, so we have 50 minutes. We're going to go over productions. 51 is what just hit on the Clash of Champions countdown timer on the WWE Network. Watch along with us. We won't be putting the pay-per-view on screen as a way to avoid absolutely every possible avenue for shutdown. I know there's other streamers that do it. They put a little window. We'll have minimal sounds. You can follow along with the sound with us, but we will not be putting the pay-per-view on screen. It's just something we don't want to do.
Yeah.
It runs the risk of being shut down, and that's one thing that we want to avoid. So we got those two.
Yep.
We'll talk about TJ Perkins versus the Brian Kendrick, which should be a very, very good match. Very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, should be a great match.
The Sim obviously didn't have these two superstars in it because the Cruiserweight Classic just wrapped up. Very fast-tracked as far as actually having this match on the card. Quite surprised that we're going to have it.
I was surprised. It makes a lot of sense. I'm really glad they did it. I'm really glad they rushed it and got it onto the card. It's going to be great. It's going to be a hell of a match. I think it'll be one of the first matches of the night, and I think that's the right way to do it because...
Introduction. It's an introduction to the brand.
Yeah.
Because they're treating it like it's its own entity.
Yeah.
The way they read it, like we talked about a little bit on the simulation show, they redid the lighting, they redid the Titantron, they had all this branding as far as Raw Cruiserweights, and then they did the Fatal 4-Way, which stole the show. Poor time to put it in that third hour where the viewership starts to decline, and that's where your diehards are watching.
Yeah.
They should have put it at the top of the show to make it kind of exciting, make it new, make it fresh for the people just spilling over from the previous show.
Yeah.
But to jump into the prediction side of things, Sim didn't have it. Dawson has the champion retaining, TJ Perkins.
Yep.
I'm actually just finished the 9th episode of the Cruiserweight Classic, so I just had the final left to watch. I know, obviously, that TJ Perkins wins the championship. I have the Brian Kendrick winning this match and beating TJ Perkins for the Cruiserweight Championship tonight, Clash of Champions. I think that he developed an incredible following during the Cruiserweight Classic, enough so that they want to make that title a whehre. And to keep it on a new guy right out of the gate is great. Great for a Cruiserweight Classic. That's great to do that on its own separate thing on the network. But I think in order to bring it that air of prestige, they need to put it on Brian Kendrick in order to really solidify that this is a big deal. Brian Kendrick is back. Brian Kendrick has a distance to go. He's going to be around for a while. Put the belt on Brian Kendrick. Off the Cruiserweight division goes with him kind of, like, maybe he has 1 to 2 years like in the company, but at least an early run with the belt. And then to bring the young guys after him, we'll put a younger talent over, like TJ Perkins if he wins it back, like Rich Swann, like Cedric Alexander, who during the tournament was an incredible performer. I think that using Brian Kendrick with the belt as a means to propel Cruiserweights is a great way to start off the Cruiserweight division. Therefore, I have the Brian Kendrick beating TJ Perkins tonight for the Cruiserweight Championship. Anything to add to that?
No, not too much. Tonight's going to be interesting predictions-wise, because so far out of the three, we are the exact opposite for the first three. So,
up next on the predictions card, we got Charlotte, Women's Champion, versus Sasha Banks, who's actually just on screen right now with Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke looking nice. And Bayley, triple threat match for the Women's Championship. I'm going to start off by saying that this is too early for this. Too early to be throwing the three women together in the match like this.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Way too early.
The double pin angle was one that we called on Twitter over at NeverOverLive. It was something that I was wondering whether they were going to brought up. They swept it under the rug for a week.
Yep.
And then Dana Brooke brought it up. And I think that besides this whole triple threat, I think Dana Brooke's going to be a big threat down the line, but we'll talk about that another time.
It's another conversation. Yep.
Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley. You have Charlotte. The Sim has Bayley. I have Bayley winning the Women's Championship tonight.
Really?
For one reason, and one reason alone, her new merch says "Hug Like a Champ," and you just don't do that unless you get a return on investment.
Putting that kind of stuff on a shirt exposes the business,
and that is incredibly if she wins. So I don't want Bayley to win tonight. I'll preface it with this. I would like Charlotte to retain.
Yep.
Because I think you can build an incredible story around Charlotte and Dana.
Yep.
I do not want to see Bayley win the championship tonight because that discredits Sasha Banks, that discredits Charlotte, that discredits Dana Brooke, that discredits Paige for Bayley to just pop in. It discredits whatever Nia Jax is doing off the preview card. We can talk about that later.
Yep.
But I think that Charlotte should retain, but I have Bayley winning tonight.
Yeah, I really like it. that merch angle would be, if that's the case, you know, it's a good call out. Seeing it, it'd be unfortunate. It'd be really just for her to appear and slap the belt on her right away. It's kind of like you're afraid that you won't build any more popularity. It's like they're trying to cash in right away on the momentum, how she's already over with the fans, how she's a pure face, like she's probably going to be the John Cena for the women.
Yeah.
And to just give her the title right away, I don't know, it feels kind of cheap. It feels like you're just slapping it on, cashing in now, being like, oh, the crowd loves her, like, we'll move merch, like, it's great. Where if you don't give it to her now, she can soar higher, do more.
Yeah. Develop her a little more,
yeah.
let her cook in the oven a little bit more,
yeah.
and then have established feuds, because maybe we'll see a feud with her and Nia Jax. Maybe that'll be the threat. Maybe Nia Jax is the propel that Bayley needs to be like, wow, Bayley's a wrestler, Bayley can wrestle, Bayley can go after the championship. And because I'm still very interested to know what they're going to do with Nia Jax down the line here,
yeah.
because she's running out of opponents. She's got this little feud with Alicia Fox going on like that, and then she's got to go after the top of the card, which is your Dana, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and then obviously Charlotte is the women's champion.
Yep.
There's not really a lot left for Nia Jax to do other than squash jobbers, and that runs its course as we're already starting to see. They're making the transition to roster opponents like they are with Braun Strowman.
Yep.
But despite that, the merch is what's telling me that Bayley is winning the championship.
It's a
tonight.
safe call. It really, it's
As much as I do not want it,
yeah.
that's what's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen tonight. Yeah. Once again, another difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And we could have very, very, we could have a very interesting show tonight.
That's four right now.
It'll be interesting to know, despite Brad's absence tonight, unfortunately, that whether his predictions, we'll see how those fare out, because I'm very sure he has his predictions set up.
Yeah, I think he does as well.
And maybe we can find those out later on throughout the evening. I can update the table, and we'll see. Brad may be the first ever vacant championship winner here, which would be very, very interesting to see. So, so we got the women's championship match, tag match, the New Day, the champions, going up against the Club for the second time.
Yep.
You had the Club.
I have the Club.
The Sim had the New Day.
Yep.
I had the Club. It just seems like
it makes sense right now.
It makes sense right now. They wouldn't be doing this rematch just to have the New Day go over the Club again. AJ's got the belt over on SmackDown. You can do great things during cross-brand shows like the upcoming Survivor Series. When you have AJ with the belt, the Club with the belt, I think it's just time to see. You can do the Club with the belts. Maybe have New Day, Enzo, and Cass feud for a little bit.
Yep.
Winner of that goes after the belts.
Sorry. Something I just thought of, and you mentioned it kind of with, you touch on it a bit with Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley. Does the roster feel thin? Does the roster for Raw feel thin? Because on the women's side for SmackDown, there seems to be quite a few more, and there seems to be a lot more going on.
Yeah.
With the women on Raw, it seems kind of thin, and same with like the New Day and the Club. What happens after those guys? Who did they face? Like, who's available? Like, you have Enzo and Cass. Who else is really a dominant tag team that could come along? And when you flip over to SmackDown,
the Rising Stars or whatever, the Primo and Epico, the Puerto Rican Stars or whatever.
Yeah.
There's them. But other than that, there's really nothing else on Raw as far as the tag team division goes. I mean, over on SmackDown, you got the Hype Bros, you got the Usos, you got American Alpha, you got Sliano.
Yep.
And it seems like they have a lot more of a padded roster to make a deeper tag team division.
Yep.
I would argue that maybe the Raw roster isn't thin. Maybe it's that Raw is 3 hours long and we see everybody every week.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point.
So I think that's probably the biggest problem weighing down Monday Night Raw and their roster is that we see these people every week doing the same thing. If you do 2 hours like SmackDown, maybe you don't see a superstar one week, maybe you see them the next week, and it feels fresh.
Yeah.
It feels new. You're not beating the horse.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, that's a great point. Just a last comment on your predictions: the Club and the New Day.
I still got stuff to talk about there.
Yep. One thing I could see the New Day. The only reason I see the New Day retaining is their merch still sells.
Yeah.
That's the only way maybe they're not done milking that cow and they keep rolling on. That's the only way I really see the New Day. If they win, that's what I'd attribute the reasoning for them to win.
And you're gonna see us reference merch as far as like vessels for championship retention often, because that is a big factor as far as the inside of the business goes.
Definitely.
You aren't going to stifle somebody who's selling merch by taking belt away, but maybe they need that little extra nudge in order to move merch, because that's ultimately where a lot of the drawing power comes from.
Yep.
We've noticed, like, if you go to WWEshop.com right now, the highest selling shirt is the Kevin Owens Show shirt. And would that have been the case 2 months ago before he won the Universal Championship?
No,
They had to put that shirt out,
no.
and he didn't have the belt on it. No, it wouldn't
Who's
be the
the
case.
second highest selling
AJ
shirt?
Styles with the if it's not P1, they don't want none on the back. That is the second most popular shirt on the WWEshop.com website, because the belt helps move merch surprisingly
Yeah, it does.
enough. So if you see strong enough merch sales, like, there's no reason to take the belt off somebody. So
Exactly.
I think the club will win tonight. I don't think they do that rematch for no reason. I think they're being loose enough with the feud. It's kind of like the same way they were doing with AJ and Dean Ambrose. It didn't seem personal. It didn't seem to just click. So to me, when a feud isn't quite organic, I think there's means for championships to change over, and I think this is the time that the club goes over the New Day, and we'll see new tag team championships.
Yep.
Or new tag team champions. Rusev versus the big dog, the guy, Roman Reigns, for the United States Championship tonight. You have Roman Reigns.
Yep.
The Sim has Rusev.
Yep.
I have Rusev defending successfully his Universal Championship, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
I want you to think back the last couple weeks on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
I want you to think about where Roman Reigns has been as far as the show goes, where he kind of
At the end, mostly involved with, somehow inadvertently involved with Kevin Owens
the
and
Universal
Seth Rollins.
Championship picture. Yeah. So in that respect alone, Rusev will retain because Roman Reigns, for whatever reason, has stuff to do up at the top card, which doesn't make sense. I think a great a great United States Championship reign, where as a tweener, I think a great that's tricky. United States Championship reign could do wonders for Roman Reigns and getting him over if he held that for a long time. Fend it off Rusev, and then you start throwing Cesaro and Sheamus. Throw Cesaro at him, don't throw Sheamus at him, because we've seen that 45 million times.
Yeah.
Throw Cesaro at him. Throw Braun Strowman at him, but then Braun Strowman goes over, because I love that theory.
Yeah.
But I think there's enough for Roman to do in the mid-card to really kind of just make people forget that he was pushed to the moon around WrestleMania 32.
Yep.
I think this is a great opportunity for him to... I think it would be a good opportunity if he did win to do some great things in the mid-card, but I have Rusev retaining because he's thrust into the biggest picture yet again of the A show, which is kind of unfortunate in my opinion, but that's just the way it is. So I have Rusev retaining the United States Championship, which differs from you. The Sim right there with.
Yep.
And as I said, we'll get Brad's predictions hopefully later on in the evening, thinking of him. So we have one more match to go. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. You had Kevin Owens retaining. The Sim had Seth Rollins winning on a full Nelson Bridge suplex. I highly recommend you go check that out because that was absolutely ridiculous. I have Kevin Owens retaining the championship.
It's the Kevin Owens show.
It's the Kevin Owens show, but Triple H is getting involved, and that's easy. You're not going to have the red herring of Triple H coming out,
up and then now showing up again.
showing up on Raw, screwing Seth Rollins out of the championship. He's going to come back, and the way I see that story going, I see Triple H. Honestly, I see Triple H feuding with Stephanie because Stephanie chose Mick Foley as the general manager of Raw and didn't choose him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, she went and chose a face instead of choosing Triple H, which would make sense for the authority standpoint of things. And so I think this is him kind of sticking it to Stephanie.
Yeah.
So to me, Kevin Owens will win. There'll probably be a ref bump. There'll probably be Triple H come out and screw. Now you'll see Triple H go after Seth. Seth will conquer him,
and then
Kevin with the roll up or like bounce
capitalize
him off the rope and capitalize on the with a pump up powerbomb for the win. So those are my predictions. They vary very much with yours.
They do. The only real parallels we had was
the tag team, and the Universal title picture. Other than that, we have very different cards.
It's going to be a very interesting night.
And so hopefully we can get Brad's predictions later on to update the bracket a little bit.
Brad's came through?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he actually did. So we'll talk about Brad. Apparently there's a tag team match here in the pre-show, but we can talk about Brad's predictions as well, which is kind of cool. So, let me get my sheet back here.
Do you want me to hold the phone here?
So, Doc, you had Sami Zayn.
Yep.
The 2K simulation had Sami Zayn. I had Chris Jericho. Brad had
Sami Zayn.
Brad had, so I'm the only one with Chris Jericho there. Sheamus and Cesaro. The champ has Cesaro. The 2K has Sheamus. I have Sheamus. Brad has
Sheamus.
Brad has Sheamus.
Brad has Sheamus.
Very, very, very interesting pick there for Brad. Because Brad typically doesn't pick off his heart, but he has Sheamus going there, which is very, very interesting.
I'm sitting alone on that one.
Yeah, you are.
I am the only one who thinks Cesaro is going to pull this off.
Yeah. TJ Perkins versus Brian Kendrick. You had TJ Perkins. I had Brian Kendrick. Brad had
TJ Perkins. But Kendrick's looks strong.
Yeah.
Kendrick, looks strong.
They got to make him look strong.
Yeah.
You don't hit a burning hammer and just get thrown in the trash.
You don't hit a burning hammer and lose.
Yeah. I don't know what the thought process was there. The Women's Championship match, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. The champ had Charlotte. The Sim had Bayley. I had Bayley. Brad had Charlotte retaining, so we're split there. But
none of us see Sasha win tonight. None of us see her getting the belt out of this.
No, I think they're going to try and wait as long as they can before putting the belt back on her, as they probably consider her a liability.
Yeah, could. It may be a bit of a slap on the wrist thing too for the promo she cut.
She did get some heat for that promo.
Where she kind of alluded to the fact that she may have been retiring and then wasn't.
Yeah.
That promo was very weird.
There'll be a little bit of heat there.
Very concerning.
A little bit of heat.
Yeah.
The tag team match. You had the club. I had the club. The Sim had the New Day. Brad has
the New Day.
Brad is the New Day.
Brad has the New Day.
Oh my god.
I can only assume Brad rolls with the New Day due to how much the merch
and how over they
are. Yeah,
they're still extremely over. Maybe the most over thing.
Oh, the most over group they had, like a unit, a stable they've had in years. So,
and then the United States Championship picture: Rusev, the champion, defending against Roman Reigns. The champ Dawson had Roman Reigns defeating Rusev. I had Rusev retaining. The Sim had Rusev retaining. Brad has
Roman Reigns.
Oh my god. This is very good because we have some very different.
Yes, we do.
And then the Universal Championship picture. Doc had Kevin Owens. I have Kevin Owens. The Sim has
Seth Rollins off a full Nelson suplex.
That's
a bridge pin.
It's got to be noted.
It has to be noted, yeah. And Brad has Seth. No, he has KO.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So we'll